Christy, what happens in Green Zone?
Matt Damon plays this army dude. And every time he gets sent out on assignment to go find WMDs, they're not there.
In Iraq.
They're not like Sherman Oaks or anything. They're in Iraq. This is 2003. Right. They're in Baghdad, and every assignment he gets to go and find WMDs, they get some great tip. They have this great intel from this Iraqi source, this guy who's been nicknamed Magellan. Every time they go, there's nothing there. And he begins to wonder, what's wrong with our intel? Why are we going on these wild goose chases? And he realizes something is up. But there's also a conspiracy to keep the secret. I don't want to give it away, but keep the secret of what is really happening as far as the intel and the weapons. And it's sort of based on what actually has been going on. And there's also a great deal of wish fulfillment as far as what we would like to see happen as far as exposing all the wrongs the administration did.
Matt, your thoughts?
You know, I might have liked this movie if it didn't make me feel like I was going to throw up. The entire movie is shot with handheld cameras. The entire thing. The entire movie.
A lot of movement.
A lot of movement. And on a big screen, it's way too much. So I will warn anyone who, if you got sick of Blair Witch, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah.
This is really, really obnoxious. You know, I get Paul Greengrass wanting to do kind of the shaky cam, the fast cuts in a fight scene. Now, I personally don't care for that. I don't want to feel like I'm in a fight scene. If I want to feel like I'm in a fight, I'll go pick a fight. I'll get in a fight with someone.
Have you ever been in a fight?
A long time ago. And I don't want to feel like I'm in a fight, so I don't pick fights. This whole movie is shot like a fight scene. Even scenes where two people are just in a room talking to each other, it'll be a quick pan and a zoom, or a zoom out and a quick pan, and it's frantic. And the entire movie doesn't need to be. Now, it's effective in certain spots. At the beginning, when you're kind of supposed to feel like you're on the ground in the early days of the U.S. attack on Baghdad, that's a terrifying sequence. I felt like you really did feel like you were on the ground. That's how it must have felt. You know, you're seeing the sky light up orange at night, and it's really, really intense. But I feel like the rest of the movie, it's just too much for me. Again, I might have enjoyed it more if I felt like I could actually sit through it. I almost walked out on a couple occasions because it was just too much for me.
Really?
And this is his style, though. I mean, if you look at the last two Bourne movies, and look at United 93.
He did the last two.
He did the last two, and he did United 93. This is very much his style, like the hyperkinetic,
right, and those are my same
verite,
complaints about the last two Bourne movies. It was just too much.
But with those films, and with United 93 especially, a movie about a plane crash, you have a lot of moments of quiet. You have a lot of moments where they let the suspense just build, and that never happens here. And it really could have done with a lot more of that as far as allowing us to immerse ourselves and not feel distracted by the hyper anxiety of it all.
Right.
Yeah. United 93, I think I can safely say, and I try to avoid, boxing myself in. I don't know what number I'll put on it, but I will say that United 93, one of my favorite movies of the decade. I don't know what the number is. I don't know whether it's 10, 20, or 25. But it would make my NCAA tournament of 2000 movies. Definitely, it gets an at-large bid. I loved that film because there was tremendous, and the great thing was there was so much suspense there, and you know exactly how that film is ending.
Right, and yet you're on the edge of your seat. Like you're waiting, you can't
whole
wait.
Time. I just thought that was an incredible movie. I mean, and aside from the fact that we then, and you realize that that movie is filled with non-actors and real air traffic controllers who experienced September 11th firsthand. I thought it was a remarkable film and really a testament to Paul Greengrass's talents as a director. And I liked all three Bourne movies. But I think, Christy, you make a great point that there was some drama missing from this. And as a guy obsessed with how we went to war, I really liked the first, I made up a number here, like the first 54% of this film. Because it's not what happened, but it's pretty close to a version of what happened.
Well, and it's based on the novel, right? I mean,
yeah.
Or not the novel, it's based on the book, about the nonfiction book.
I mean, we didn't have a specific Iraqi general we didn't exactly take a specific piece of intelligence and turn it around upside down and there wasn't one guy who lied and that specific piece of information led us to war. But we cherry-picked intelligence from a variety of sources and that led us into what happened. And there were, as we see in one of my top 11 movies of 2009, a wonderful film. It's a satire, Armando Iannucci's film In the Loop, which is a sensational movie. It's not the same movie, but if you want to see a movie about how we blundered into war, it's a much better film. You know, we had a bunch of 22-year-olds sort of making political decisions here, but so I liked a lot of it, but then all of a sudden in the back half it got incredibly simplistic, and it was just this one Iraqi general who said no, and then Greg Kinnear, this Defense Department guy who said no, it's yes, and I'm going to say that he did say they were weapons of mass destruction, and I'm going to tell a Wall Street Journal reporter, and that lie is going to lead us into war, and that was it. It was that simple, case closed. And then I was lost.
Right, it is massively overly simplistic for such a hugely complicated thing. It's so overly simplistic, and a lot of the characters beyond Matt Damon, Greg Kinnear, Brendan Gleeson as a CIA agent who's on his side, Amy Ryan in a totally small and thankless part as this Wall Street Journal reporter who is used as a pawn. They're all these one-note characters. Like, they're all the same person the whole way through, and it's such a complicated situation. They never change, though.
Right, and then some of the dialogue that they give these characters, I agree with you, is, you know, it gets really obvious and really ham-fisted, right? The Freddie, the translator, right, who gets lines like, "What are you doing here? We need to," you know, one of his later lines is, you know, as if he's speaking for the whole country, is to say, we need to make these decisions for ourselves. Yeah, we need, right? You know, and it's
Iraqis need to make decisions for Iraq, not Americans.
Exactly.
I mean, if he didn't say that, he certainly could have. And I made a number of predictions to you about what would happen in the movie, all of which were wrong. But the fact is, still the things.
Why would you admit that you were wrong?
I'm an honest guy. Because the things that did happen, though, were still incredibly predictable, even if the things that I specifically predicted were wrong.
But Freddie's role, Freddie's pivotal, a pivotal moment. Right, you picked that.
Everything was incredibly predictable, and it is one of the annoying things because the Bush administration made a number of incredibly horrible decisions. But when you make it this simplistic, it's very easy for people to say, "Oh, look at Hollywood and the crazy liberals saying Bush is, you know, blaming everything." No, they were terrible. They made a number of terrible, imbecilic, horrible, wretched decisions where thousands and thousands of people died because of their incompetence and ignorance. But it wasn't this simplistic, and I think it's incredibly regrettable in this film.
And I think that's one of my problems with the movie is that, you know, and we talked last week when we were talking, or a couple weeks ago when we were talking about The Ghost Rider, and, you know, how I may have lost my sense of outrage about certain things. I feel like this movie, the fact that they never find any WMDs, that's not really a surprise. And although it's played for tension, you know that they're not going to find anything at any point. You know that there's never going to be any intelligence that there actually are, you know, any real intelligence that they're anywhere. And so I feel like having a director of the stature of Paul Greengrass directing a movie like this is a real missed opportunity for somebody to really come in and make a really cutting point. Right, whereas really it's just kind of...
you knew the outcome where he succeeded in United 93, he did not succeed here.
Yeah, In the Loop is better. Of course, our most recent Best Picture winner, The Hurt Locker, is better. Shot by the same cinematographer as Green Zone, so you do have that sensation of being inside on the ground with these people. It's very claustrophobic and very intense at times. I want to say something about Matt Damon because he is really good in this. We're trashing all the performances for being one note. He's reliable, he's consistent, he's authoritative, and much more so than he was in Invictus, where he got an Oscar nomination and all he was just like stoic.
He was great. And Jason Isaacs, who's always good, is in this and barely unrecognizable.
Used. Yeah,
that's right.
And even then, it's not till the very end, and then you run the credits. Oh my God, that was Jason Isaacs.
All right, we'll start with the ratings.
I went low on this. I said 4, partly because I felt like I couldn't watch it. I felt like it was going to make me sick. And whatever points there may have been, I felt like we're really missed out. So I got to go with a 4 for this.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 as well, which surprised me ultimately. But when I walked out of it, I felt like this was a huge missed opportunity. It's a bummer. It's a 4.
A 4 from you also?
Yeah.
Right.
You?
I went a little higher on this. I gave it a 5 because I was riding for that first 56%. I was in the 6.5 range, and then I dropped to like a -4. So I ended up thinking that this was a fairly average film. I gave it a 5. Okay. Yeah, it was in the C range. My hair looks horrible. So I ended up with a 5. My hair gets a 3. So that makes
being generous.
So with a 5, I think that pulls our overall, that's my 5, and our overall average comes to a 4.6 for the Green Zone. 4.6, a little below average for the Green Zone. All right, 4.6 for Green Zone.